So I watched 2 different Star Trek series that I wanted to bring to the table.
I thought you'd watched everything before already.
I do, and they had their either final season or the next season finally got out, so now I'm just giving you an update a couple months later. I'm still watching science fiction and star stuff.
Sure.
But I mentioned a couple space-related shows previously, so I figured I'd keep this going a little bit longer. We've got Star Trek Prodigy, which season 2 is on Netflix, and Star Trek Discovery on Paramount+. Star Trek Discovery is now over. That has got its 5 seasons. This was the final season.
Officially?
Yeah. There's they're not continuing any of the storylines. All the actors have,
died,
gone on to other work / they may end up in a different series. Interestingly, the animated series, I don't know if you knew that, but Star Trek Prodigy is animated, and it has 4 actors' voices in it from other Star Trek series. 3 of them from the same Star Trek series. So that's Kate Mulgrew, Robert Picardo, and Robert Beltran are all from Voyager originally and are reprising all their roles in this animated series. So that's great because I'm a fan of those and I haven't heard or seen them in a long time. But in that second season, they introduced Wesley Crusher's character, Will Wheaton, from Star Trek Next Generation. So they've brought in other series.
Will Wheaton is back?
He's back, and he's got a really big role this entire season. So it's actually pretty fun.
Good for him.
Animated show.
Has he aged? I feel like he's never ages.
It's interesting. He is a time traveler in the Star Trek universe. He bounced out in his teenage years in the series. A time traveler's like, you know what? You're kind of smart. Why don't you figure this problem out? Why don't you figure that problem out? Actually, you should come with me and travel time forever. Okay.
And for those of you who don't know, Will Wheaton from Stand By Me. I mean, he's been around a long time.
Well, he's definitely aged since then.
No, he looks identical.
Yeah, and this is a much more contemporary-looking version of him. So he is not the teenage version of himself in this animated series. He's more
Wait, it's animated?
Did
I miss that?
The
yes,
Prodigy
he definitely said it.
Part of it is...
Aging makes no difference.
No. But they did age his character, even though he's a time traveler, and they didn't need to age him.
Wait, isn't there another Star Trek animated series, Lower Decks? Is that
Lower Decks, and I haven't caught up on that one. Lower Decks is actually about the rest of the crew and the other things that you'd be doing when you're on a main mission. There's stuff still happening on the ship. So Lower Decks is still on a ship and doing crewy stuff, whereas Prodigy, also animated, was less like that because the premise, I'll read the premise, it follows a group of young aliens in the 24th century who find an abandoned starship and then learn about Starfleet. So it's like a kid's entry into the Star Trek world, but then because they knew the adults that are making their kids watch it, they were like, can I get some Voyager characters, please? Can I get some Star Trek Next Generation? Thank you. So, enjoyable. I recommend them. They're kid-friendly, family-friendly, sci-fi-friendly. Go for it. Go out there and see the stars.
And they're animated.
Literally. Well, and then Discovery, it wasn't animated, but it's now over, so there's no more of that coming.
Got it.
It's done its run. Oh, and one last thing I wanted to mention about Star Trek Discovery. Doug Jones, huge fan of his, no pun intended, because he's very, very tall. His character in that series with the reverse high heels, I mean, it's been a pleasure to watch him perform that character and inhabit that character. So I'm looking forward to whatever else he's going to have, access to with all of his height.
Doug Jones, he's so awesome.
And people would know him from Shape of Water. Usually he's in heavy
makeup, it's hard to recognize his face. So this was a lot of actual performance and character development and lines. He eventually, in this last season, he gets a girlfriend,
Yeah, because his really trajectory for our awareness of him was through the director Guillermo del Toro playing his monsters.
Yeah.
And then finally, kind of what happened also, when you're behind the scenes and you're in heavy, makeup costumes or just doing the 3D animation capture, it's you're actually so good, we're going to give you an opportunity to take all that off and perform. So shout out to Doug Jones.
Yeah, I will say he's also on, which is now going to be the last season of What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh my God, he's brilliant.
He's so fun in that. Yeah, he just had an episode.
That does have a lot of makeup and a lot of character element to it.
Well, initially, when he got burned to a crisp, that was very Doug Jones.
But he's healing. He's healing.
No, he looks fine now, and apparently
so great.
They all think he's incredibly sexy, which is very awesome.
We have to almost just do a whole episode on What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, gosh.
Okay.
Yes.